She was Hollywood's hottest blonde bombshell in the 60s. Men couldn't take their eyes off her. Now at 85, Elke Sommer looks totally different. After 3 failed pregnancies, a nasty feud with Zsa Zsa Gabor, and a haunted house that nearly killed her, the German beauty quit movies for good. These days, she's living a quiet life with her hotel manager husband, and you won't believe what she's doing instead of acting. Elke Sommer was born Elke Schletz on November 5, 1940, in Berlin-Spandau, Germany. Her father, Baron Peter von Schletz, was a Lutheran minister. Her mother, Renata, was a homemaker. She was born in the middle of World War II, a time when Germany was being torn apart by bombings and destruction. Her family had aristocratic roots, but that didn't shield them from the chaos of war. By 1942, Berlin had become too dangerous. Allied bombs were falling constantly, and families were forced to flee. The Schletz family moved to Erlangen, a small university town in southern Germany. Life there was safer, but the effects of war were everywhere. Food was scarce, and uncertainty hung in the air. Despite this, Erlangen gave young Elke a sense of stability. It was in this quiet town that she discovered painting. Her parents introduced her to watercolors, and what started as a simple pastime soon became a deep passion. Art became her escape from the reality of post-war Germany. Then, in 1955, everything changed. Her father died when she was just 14. His death left the family struggling both emotionally and financially. Elke had no choice but to leave formal education. It was a difficult time, but she refused to let it define her future. She needed a way forward, so she made a bold decision. She moved to England. In 1957, at the age of 16, she took a job as an au pair in England, working for wealthy families in places like Chigwell and Hampstead. Her goal was simple: improve her English and create new opportunities for herself. She had dreams of becoming a diplomatic translator, maybe even working for the United Nations. She studied languages while working, determined to build a future on her own terms. But life had other plans. In 1958, while vacationing with her mother in Viareggio, Italy, she entered the Miss Viareggio Turistica beauty contest. She had no idea how much that decision would change her life. She won the title, and suddenly, doors began to open. Viareggio was more than just a beach resort. It was a meeting place for filmmakers, actors, and industry insiders. One of those insiders was Vittorio De Sica, an actor and director famous for films like Bicycle Thieves. He saw something special in Elke and decided to give her a chance in the film industry. That opportunity led to her debut in Uomini e Nobiluomini, Men and Noblemen, in 1959. The comedy, directed by Giorgio Bianchi, introduced her to audiences as Caterina, a young woman caught in a light-hearted social class satire. She starred alongside well-known actors like De Sica himself and Antonio Cifariello. It was a small role, but it was enough to open doors. At the time, Sommer was far from the world of acting. Born Elke von Schletz on November 5, 1940, in Berlin-Spandau, she grew up during World War II. After her father's death, she moved with her mother to Erlangen, Germany. She had dreams of becoming a diplomatic translator, but money was tight. To support herself, she started modeling. That job led her to Italy, where De Sica's discovery changed her path forever. Acting was never part of her plan, but once she stepped in front of the camera, she knew she belonged there. With her career starting to grow, she made an important decision. Her last name, von Schletz, was long and difficult for international audiences. She needed something shorter and easier to remember. In 1959, she officially became Elke Sommer. The name felt warm and inviting. In German, Sommer means summer, and it perfectly matched her bright screen presence. The timing was perfect. Italian cinema was welcoming her, and she was already looking beyond Germany. She wanted to be a star, not just in Europe, but worldwide. By 1960, Sommer was becoming a familiar face in European films. She took on a leading role in Love, the Italian Way, Femmine di Lusso, a romantic comedy directed by Giorgio Bianchi. The film followed a group of travelers on a luxury Mediterranean cruise, and Sommer played Greta, a young woman caught in a whirlwind of romance. It was fun, glamorous, and exactly the kind of role that suited her. The following year, she made a sharp turn into drama with Daniela by Night, 1961, a French West German spy thriller directed by Max Pécas. She played Daniela, a fashion model who unknowingly becomes involved in an international smuggling operation. The film had an exciting mix of mystery and sensuality, and Sommer's presence made it unforgettable. Her career was moving fast. Between Between 1959 and 1961, she appeared in over 10 films across Italy, France, Germany, and Spain. Directors saw her as a fresh new talent who could handle both comedy and drama. Audiences loved her, and she was proving that she had more than just good looks. But her beauty did play a big role in her rise. By the early 1960s, Sommer was becoming one of Europe's most recognized faces. Her high cheekbones, blonde hair, and piercing blue eyes made her a natural choice for magazine covers. She embraced this attention, knowing that her image was as powerful as her performances. Elke Sommer's big break in Hollywood came in 1963 with The Prize. This espionage thriller starred Paul Newman as an alcoholic Nobel laureate who stumbles into a dangerous conspiracy. Sommer played Inger Lisa Andersson, a Swedish chaperone who gets caught up in the intrigue. The film, directed by Mark Robson and based on Irving Wallace's novel, blended suspense with humor. Newman's character brought a light-hearted touch to the darker spy elements, and his chemistry with Sommer made their scenes stand out. Critics took notice of her performance. Hedda Hopper of the Chicago Tribune called her as sexy a bit as we've had on screen in a long time. That same year, she won the Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer, proving she was more than just a European beauty passing through Hollywood. Her success wasn't just about looks. She spoke 5 languages fluently, a skill she developed while working as an au pair in England and acting in films across Italy, France, and Germany. This made her transition into Hollywood much easier. Audiences around the world connected with her, and The Prize turned her into a star. The film itself did well, and her role helped launch a career that would span nearly 5 decades with over 99 film and television appearances. In 1964, she landed a role that became one of the most iconic of her career. She played Maria Gambrelli in A Shot in the Dark, the second film in the Pink Panther series. Peter Sellers starred as Inspector Clouseau, the clumsy detective convinced that Maria was innocent of murder despite overwhelming evidence against her. The film, directed by Blake Edwards, was packed with absurd situations and unforgettable moments, including a chaotic escape from a nudist colony. Sommer had already proven she could handle serious roles, but this film showed her talent for comedy. She played off Sellers' slapstick antics while keeping her character mysterious and charming. The film was a huge hit, grossing over $12 million, a big number for the time. It is still considered one of the best films in the Pink Panther franchise. For Sommer, it was more than just another role. It showed she had range, comedic timing, and a screen presence that could hold its own next to one of the greatest comedy actors of all time. Comedy became a major part of her career. In 1966, she starred in Boy, Did I Get a Wrong Number, alongside Bob Hope. She played Dee Dee, a glamorous French actress famous for her bubble bath commercials who runs away to Oregon to avoid being typecast. Hope's character tries to keep her hidden from his wife and the media, leading to complete chaos. The film wasn't a hit with critics, with some calling it an overlong sitcom, but audiences loved it. Over time, it became a cult favorite, thanks in part to Sommer's ability to match the comedic energy of both Hope and Phyllis Diller, who made her film debut in the movie. Sommer's ability to jump between comedy and drama kept her in high demand, but acting wasn't the only reason she was one of the most talked about women of the 1960s. Her beauty made her a major pinup icon. She appeared in Playboy twice, once in September 1964 and again in December 1967. With her striking cheekbones, pouty lips, and signature bouffant hairstyle, she became one of the most photographed women of the decade. But unlike many pinup stars, she was never just a pretty face. She managed to balance her sex appeal with a serious acting career, appearing in major films while still being a fashion icon. Elke Sommer became one of the most glamorous stars of the 1960s. Her beauty and screen presence made her a favorite in thrillers and comedies. In Deadlier Than the Male, 1967, she played Irma Eckman, a seductive assassin in a stylish Bulldog Drummond spy film. The movie was a hit and reinforced her image as a European bombshell. She wasn't just a pretty face, she had charisma and wit that made her stand stand out. She starred alongside Paul Newman in The Prize, 1963, and Peter Sellers in A Shot in the Dark, 1964, proving she could hold her own with Hollywood's biggest names. By the late 1960s, things started to change. Hollywood moved away from glamorous leading ladies and focused on grittier, more down-to-earth portrayals of women. This shift made things harder for Sommer. She still found roles, starring in The Wrecking Crew, 1968, with Dean Martin, but Hollywood wasn't calling as often. Instead of fading away, she turned to European cinema, where she found success in horror films like Barren Blood, 1972, and Lisa and the Devil, 1973. Even though she wasn't in as many Hollywood films, she remained a top star. In 1975, she earned £30,000 for Carry On Behind, making her one of the highest-paid actors in the British comedy series. She knew how to adapt. The Hollywood she once thrived in was disappearing, but she kept working. She took on different roles and worked internationally, showing she wasn't just relying on her looks. As film roles became less frequent in the 1970s and 1980s, she turned to television. She guest-starred in Fantasy Island and The Love Boat, keeping herself in front of audiences. These roles helped her stay visible, even as Hollywood focused on younger stars. One of her most important TV roles came in 1982, when she played Magda Goebbels in Inside the Third Reich, a miniseries based on Albert Speer's memoirs. The series won 2 Emmy Awards, and Sommer's performance proved she could handle serious drama, not just light-hearted roles. Beyond acting, she hosted The Exciting World of Speed and Beauty and became a frequent guest on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. She also appeared on Hollywood Squares, where her quick wit made her a favorite. Television gave her a new platform, and she used it to her advantage. Later in life, she found a new passion: stage acting. Theater gave her a chance to focus on storytelling rather than star power. In 1975, she played Billy Dawn in Born Yesterday and earned a Joseph Jefferson Award nomination for Best Guest Artist during its Chicago run. She also starred in Cactus Flower at Chicago's Drury Lane Theater in 1971 and in Same Time next year, a role she loved because of its emotional depth. Theater allowed her to move beyond her glamorous image. She didn't just act, she produced and directed some of her plays, proving she had creative control over her work. This chapter of her career wasn't about fame, it was about art. Elke Sommer married Hollywood columnist Joe Hyams on July 6, 1964, in Las Vegas. From the outside, they seemed like the perfect couple. Successful, glamorous, always in the spotlight. But behind the scenes, they faced struggles that would shape their marriage for years to come. Sommer wanted a family, but fate had other plans. She suffered 3 miscarriages during their 17-year marriage, each one taking a toll on her body and spirit. The first happened in 1965 while she was filming The Money Trap alongside Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth. The long hours and pressure of the production were exhausting, and the stress may have contributed to the heartbreaking loss. A year later, she became pregnant again. She was working on the comedy Boy, Did I Get a Wrong Number, when tragedy struck for the second time. This time, the grief settled between her and Hyams like an unspoken weight. They struggled to talk about it, and over time, the sorrow created a quiet distance between them. By 1973, they made one last attempt to have a child. Sommer was filming Die Reise nach Wien, The Journey to Vienna, when she suffered her 3rd miscarriage. This one hurt the most. Their marriage was already under strain, and this final loss only deepened the cracks that had formed over the years. Through it all, her mother, Renata von Schletz, was by her side, offering comfort as Sommer pushed forward with her career. Despite her resilience, the sadness never truly faded. She kept working, acting, and singing, but the dream of motherhood was gone. It was a loss that lingered, shaping her personal life and her marriage. After 17 years together, Sommer and Hyams divorced in 1981. There was no dramatic fallout or bitter court battle. They had simply reached a point where they needed different things. Hyams, despite filing for divorce, later called their time together the best years of my life. He wanted Sommer to have her independence because he believed it would make her happier. At 41, she was living in Germany, still performing and finding new creative paths. Hyams, at 58, remained in Hollywood, writing books about stars like Edith Head and Billie Jean King. They moved on, but their years together left a lasting mark. Then came an unexpected turn. Sommer's second marriage was not just a new beginning, it was fate. In 1993, she met Wolf Walther, the managing director of New York City's Essex House Hotel. She had come to New York check for a theater performance in Tamara and needed a place to stay. She intended to speak with the hotel's former manager, but instead met Walther, who had recently taken over. Their connection was immediate. For Walther, it was love at first sight. Sommer took a little longer to feel the same, but something about their meeting felt different. The play Tamara played a strange role in their love story. It was an interactive production where audience members followed actors of their choice. Walther, standing at 6 feet 5 inches, was impossible to miss. He attended every single show, always choosing to follow Sommer's character. Night after night, he was there, watching, waiting. What started as a coincidence soon became something deeper. Sommer later called it the greatest love story of my life. They married on August 29, 1993, in Franconia, Germany, and built a life based on love and mutual respect. By 2014, she reflected on their marriage, saying it gets better by the day. This time, her relationship was different. There was no lingering sadness, no unspoken grief. After years of personal loss, she had found happiness. Her journey didn't stop there. On December 7, 2001, she received a Golden Palm Star on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars, a tribute to her lasting impact in the entertainment world. The Walk of Stars, founded in 1992, honors figures who have influenced the arts while maintaining ties to Palm Springs. Sommer joined legendary names like Frank Sinatra and Sonny Bono. But Elke Sommer was more than a Hollywood actress. She was an artist with a deep passion for painting. In 1965, she held her first solo art exhibition at the Mackenzie Galleries in Beverly Hills. This was a turning point in her career, marking her transition from being known as an actress to being recognized as a serious painter. Her work was heavily influenced by Marc Chagall, a modern art master famous for his dreamlike and whimsical style. Sommer's paintings had the same kind of magic. They were filled with bold colors, surreal imagery, and deep emotions that captured the attention of both audiences and critics. One recurring theme in her paintings was weddings. This wasn't just an artistic choice. It came from her own life. Sommer had married in secrecy, wearing a black wig to hide from the press. The moment lacked celebration, and that feeling made its way into her art. One of her most well-known pieces, The Wedding Bath, was inspired by a folktale. This silkscreen print was part of a limited edition of 325 copies and sold for $900 at the time. Her ability to turn personal experiences into art gave her paintings an emotional depth that people connected with. Critics saw something special in her work. Hans Engel, a well-known German artist and critic, said her talent was like that of a gifted pupil of Goya. Despite her fame in Hollywood, Sommer always made it clear where her heart was. She once said, "I would rather be known as an artist who acts than an actress who paints." The success of her first exhibition proved she was more than just a celebrity dabbling in art. She was a true painter with a unique vision. In the mid-1980s, she brought her passion for art to television with a PBS series called Painting with Elke. The 13-episode show wasn't just about teaching people how to paint. It was about making art feel approachable and fun. Sommer believed that anyone could paint if they just gave it a try. She wanted to take away the fear of the empty canvas and show people that painting was something anyone could enjoy. Her teaching style was engaging. She guided viewers through every step, from sketching to shading. She had her own technique, which she called the Elke technique. It involved layering colors and using bold outlines to create depth and vibrancy. One episode featured her painting a circus scene inspired by childhood memories. She believed every painting should tell a story, and that idea became the foundation of her teaching. The show's success led to a companion book, Painting with Elke Sommer. It featured full-color reproductions of her artwork, along with step-by-step instructions. This allowed her to reach an even wider audience, making her work more accessible to people who wanted to learn from her. Beyond painting, Sommer also explored writing. She published books on both art and poetry. Her poems often reflected the same themes as her paintings: emotion, whimsy, and introspection. Through both words and images, she created art that spoke to people on a deeper level. Her success in the art world continued for decades. She held major exhibitions in cities like Rome, Munich, Chicago, and Hollywood. Her pieces became highly sought after. Collectors paid anywhere from $100 to $600 for her limited edition silkscreen prints, including works like Lovers and and the wedding. Even with clear influences from Chagall's surrealism, her paintings had a personal style shaped by her own life experiences. She often included cultural elements, particularly in her depictions of weddings, showcasing traditions from around the world. In 1990, Elke Sommer found herself in the middle of a scandal that felt straight out of a Hollywood script. It started when Zsa Zsa Gabor made shocking claims in German publications, saying Sommer was broke, living in a rundown neighborhood, and spending time in sleazy bars. Gabor even alleged that Sommer was so desperate for money that she was selling hand-knitted sweaters to survive. These statements appeared in the widely read magazine Freizeit Review and the newspaper Bild, which had a daily circulation of 3.9 million copies. The rumors didn't stop there. Gabor's husband, Friedrich von Anhalt, added fuel to the fire. He claimed Sommer couldn't afford a $500 charity ticket and was lying about her age, saying she was 62 instead of 48. He also mocked her appearance, calling her a 100-year-old grandmother with barely any hair left. These statements didn't just embarrass Sommer, they caused real damage. Strangers even sent letters to her elderly mother offering financial help, believing the false stories. This feud had a long history. It all started in 1984 when both actresses appeared on Circus of the Stars. Backstage, Sommer reportedly made a sarcastic remark as Gabor climbed onto a horse, saying, "Poor horse." That one comment sparked years of hostility. Sommer wasn't going to let the lies ruin her career. She took action and filed a defamation lawsuit in California, demanding $10 million in damages. She argued that the false claims had hurt her reputation and caused serious emotional distress. The case became a media sensation. People couldn't get enough of the courtroom battle between two Hollywood icons. Sommer came prepared with proof. She presented her birth certificate to confirm her real age and financial records, showing she was worth more than $1 million. The jury sided with her. In December 1993, they found Gabor and von Anhalt guilty of defamation with malice. Sommer was awarded $2 million, $800,000 from Gabor and $1.2 million from von Anhalt. Later, the court added punitive damages, bringing the total to $3.3 million. This was one of the largest libel judgments at the time. The verdict sent a clear message that celebrity feuds couldn't be used to spread lies in the press. Sommer felt a sense of justice, but the fight wasn't over. Gabor refused to accept the ruling. She promised to appeal and eventually filed for bankruptcy in 1994 to avoid paying the money. Meanwhile, von Anhalt continued to attack Sommer in public, claiming she insulted America whenever she visited Germany. Despite the scandal, Sommer had already built a fascinating career. In 1960, she was considered for a major role in G.I. Blues, Elvis Presley's first film after his military service. The movie was a huge success, grossing over $4.3 million. Sommer was a top contender for the role of Lily, competing against actresses like Ursula Andress and May Britt. But due to scheduling conflicts, the part went to Juliette Prowse. It's interesting to imagine how her career might have changed if she had starred opposite Elvis. But even without that role, she thrived. She starred in A Shot in the Dark, 1964, with Peter Sellers, and The Prize, 1963, with Paul Newman. In 1963, she won a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer. By the late 1960s, Hollywood was changing. Glamorous leading ladies were being replaced by grittier, more complex characters. Actresses known for their beauty, like Sommer, found it harder to get major roles. Some fans believe she was quietly blacklisted, not in an official way, but in how she was suddenly overlooked. She was also known for speaking her mind, which may have hurt her chances in an industry that favored actresses who played by the rules. But Sommer wasn't one to fade away. She turned to painting, something she had loved since childhood. Her art was shown in galleries around the world. She also stayed in the public eye through TV appearances on The Dean Martin Show and Hollywood Squares. One of the strangest parts of her life happened between 1964 and 1968, when she and her then-husband, journalist Joe Hyams, lived in a house in North Beverly Hills. That house became known as one of the most haunted homes in Hollywood. It started with small disturbances, chairs moving on their own, and strange noises in the night. But things got much worse. Guests reported seeing the ghost of a middle-aged man in a white shirt and tie. He looked so real that one visitor tried to speak to him, only for the figure to suddenly vanish. Sommer and Hyams were terrified. They brought in paranormal experts from UCLA's Parapsychological Institute, but even they couldn't explain what was happening. Then, one night, a fire broke out in the dining room while the couple was asleep upstairs. They barely escaped through a window. After they moved out, the house changed owners frequently. In just a few years, 17 different families lived there, and many reported the same ghostly encounters. Some even speculated that the spirit was connected to Sommer's family, possibly resembling her late father. Now, at 85, Sommer has stepped away from acting but remains active in the art world. She has been married to hotelier Wolf Walter since 1993 and spends her time between Germany and California. In the 1980s, she even hosted a PBS show, Painting with Elke, where she shared her artistic process. Though she no longer appears in major films, she occasionally takes roles in Germany and attends film festivals that celebrate classic Hollywood. She also supports causes related to education and environmental conservation.